RV Miles is sponsored by Blue Ox. Chances are you've seen them on the road. That's because Blue Ox designs and manufactures the best towing products in the industry. Just look around. You'll find them on highways and campgrounds and anywhere you find people traveling through the great outdoors. From award-winning tow bars, base plates, and brakes to a full line of weight-distributing hitches, fifth-wheel hitches, receiver hitches, and adjustable ball mounts. With Blue Ox, towing doesn't have to be a drag. Visit blueox.com for more information. This week, whether you're a first-time RVer, a national park lover, a road trip lover, a slow travel lover, we have the perfect RV trip for you. Plus, an update on fuel prices, which are getting a little bit frightening, and a whole lot more. This is the RV Miles Podcast. Welcome to episode number 400 of RV Miles. I'm Jason.
And I'm Abby, and we are two RVers who cannot believe that we have sat down right here for 400 episodes.
Well, not right here.
Well, not right here, but like now we've done this.
We've always
400 times.
We've always been on this side of each other.
Always.
This is a thing. Like, well, maybe there was a couple times where we got it wrong because people have commented.
If we were
sitting, sometimes we've done a live stream and we've been sitting on the other side of each other. And people are like, what are you doing?
Yeah. So if you listen to this, so I always sit off. Yeah, you don't care. But I always sit off of Jason's right shoulder and he always sits off my left shoulder. We have done that for 400 episodes.
I think.
I'm pretty sure.
I know we've done it. Listen, okay, here's some insider baseball. There's a reason that I have sat on this side.
Oh, are you going to give this away?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And it's not because see, this is why I'm curious whether it's been the whole time, because it has not been all this time. It's because I'm missing a tooth on my right side and you can't always see it. But if I'm leaning the right way and I smile the right way, you can see.
Yeah, and you've always been very uncomfortable.
Missing. And normally it's completely unnoticeable, but when we are sitting next to each other and I'm leaning in looking towards you from the other side, you can often see it on video. So that's the whole reason.
Yeah, I remember.
I don't care. Whatever.
Well, I remember the very first day you said sit on this side because then because you were really uncomfortable with the fact that had happened to you.
It wasn't just that. It was that we had done a video where I did see it and I was like, oh, I don't want to do that.
Yeah, you hated that. And so who knows how far back that is. If there's ever comes a time, if you're someone who watches this, ever comes a time where you see that the switch happened, and then that's the time that Jason had to have this awful oral surgery that resulted in that. And so that's when the switch happened. But here we are 400 episodes in, and I didn't even finish the opening. So I guess here at RV Miles, we like to talk about all things RV and outdoors and sometimes oral surgery, I guess. And we have been crisscrossing North America since 2016. And, we like to talk about all things RV and outdoors, from industry news to travel destinations, national parks. And we've been doing it now for 400 episodes. Did you think when we sat down and recorded the first one that we would make it to 400? Because we were so bad.
I've been going through a lot of our old episodes. I'm in the early stages of planning on writing a book, and I've been sort of digging through some of our funniest and most interesting stories and some of the great places we've been. And I've really been pulling the transcripts of those episodes because it's hard for me to listen to some of the oldest stuff. I also stumbled across the other day, a lot of people are always commenting to me about the news videos, like, how are you so good at this? You've got such a great voice for this and you sound so natural and all that. And they're always like, did you have training in this? And then they hear I went to theater school, but I didn't go to theater school for acting. Okay. I was behind the scenes. And so I stumbled across one of the very first news roundup videos I did, which we've done nowhere near as many of those. So that was about 6 years ago. That was during 2020. It was during the pandemic. And I was so bad.
Oh my gosh. I was looking back at some of our thumbnails for when we first started, transitioning over to video for the show, when we finally were forced to do this as a video. And I was like, wow, These thumbnails have really gone through their own like
Yeah.
glow up and evolution. Boy, some of
We've
these were really poorly executed and thought through. And then
we've learned some things along the way.
boy, have we learned some things along the way. It's really been trial by fire. And so we've talked about archiving the first 100 episodes of RV Miles because they are quite rough and ready. We really were finding our footing, but we also realized that that's the first 100 episodes of us being full-time RVers. And there was a lot of learning that was
Yeah. I
going
mean,
on
we had
there.
been on the road. We had been on the road for um how long before we did the first episode? We started the podcast.
We started the podcast in 2017.
So it was our second year.
Yeah. I mean, our very first episode came out on July 27th, 2017. So
We've really been into it a year.
yeah. And so there was a lot of learning, but really officially only been really, really actively on the road since about March of 2017 because we were still working on the bus. So if we had archived that first 100, there would have been a lot of schooly information that would have been gone. There would be a lot of full-time family information that would have been gone. A lot of the stuff with our kids when they were younger that would have been gone. And then it would have been a really weird, awkward transition because I think around episode 100 was when I sat down and did the episode by myself because you were having brain surgery. And what a weird place to welcome people into the podcast. Like, how do you explain that? Like,
I'm a little, it
So-
does get uncomfortable sometimes when people say to us, oh, I've gone back and started from the beginning and listened to every episode.
I'm on episode 75. And you're thinking, oh boy, well, this is
there's a
about
lot
to get
coming.
really interesting for you.
And I know, like, especially in those like first 20 episodes, there was a period of us really like talking about stuff that we didn't have the expertise to be talking about, right? Like,
Well, when I look, I'm like, oh, we talked about Fort Wilderness. We hadn't even gone there. What are we
We
doing?
had gone to Disney many times, but we had not gone to Fort Wilderness, and we did an episode on Fort Wilderness.
we did a lot of research on it,
Yeah.
but we actually never camped there.
Yeah,
But
listen
we
to the
had
one.
done-
Listen to the one that was after we've actually stayed at Fort Wilderness a
yeah, I
couple
mean-
times, and you'll probably be better off.
I don't want to give the impression that we just were like, flying by the seat of our pants. We researched these things.
Look, you learn stuff. We were trying to be experts, or at least I will speak for myself.
Yeah.
And then you learn at some point, the reality is people don't want to hear from an expert. I mean, they do, but like most of us aren't experts in anything, let alone one thing. And what they want to hear from is people that are also learning along.
Yeah, so I'm looking here. So episode 99 was Bye Bye Bussy. So that was when we got rid of Wanderbus. And then episode 100 was Hello Pioneer. So that's when we got Ranger Gandalf Trailey the second.
My brain surgery was a little
and
later than
then
that.
episode
Yeah.
107 was an unexpected detour in Minot,
Oh,
North
wow,
Dakota.
it wasn't that much longer.
No, it
Okay.
wasn't. So it was only 7 episodes later. So you would lose, if we archived 100, you would
Yeah.
lose our entire bus
Well,
life.
we could archive 200.
But anyway, that's not why we're here. But we are incredibly proud that even through the rough periods, even through the periods where we doubted whether or not we should be doing this, even as we were learning, as equipment was changing, as our rigs were changing, as we were experiencing growing pains as a family and as a business, and as the world was changing around us, as we were full-timing and then transitioning to becoming more part-time RVers, building out this studio, growing our business, experimenting with building out what was America's National Parks podcast and is now Parkography. And then we had the See America podcast, and we're experimenting with bringing that back, but with a new host with Brooks over at the RV Out West podcast, and all of the other things, the creation of the Mile Marker membership and growing our homecoming yearly rally, and all of those things that we have stuck with this podcast, transitioning it back over to the YouTube channel that it's on now, and diving into video and still staying true to the audio, and trying to keep that going even as audio podcasting becomes harder and harder for the smaller podcaster. That we've done this, that we've been here for 400
Yeah, and
episodes and almost 9 years.
And we can't thank the folks that have been with us throughout most of this journey enough for the wonderful support you've given us over the years, whether you're a mile marker or somebody that just has participated in what we do to a large extent. It's what keeps us going. It's what excites us. It's what makes all this happen. So we couldn't be more thankful for the entire RV community for supporting us and helping us make this happen.
Yeah. I mean, how lucky am I that I get to sit down with my husband and with my best
This
friend?
this is like our
Like,
quality time with each other.
yeah,
This is this is our
this is date night. You guys just happen to be here. This is the most we talk to each other
oh, by
uninterrupted,
far.
like all
Mm,
week long.
mass
So,
by tenfold.
yeah.
Like
I mean, I think we bought a studio just so we could actually talk uninterrupted.
yeah.
But just the fact that I get to sit down with my best friend, with my husband, once a week for a couple of hours and talk about something that we love so much and get to recap parts of our lives that, bring us so much joy and get to talk about, experiences that we have with all of you and things that are happening in the RV world and in our national parks is something I never would have imagined I would be doing. And I can't imagine not doing it now. So thank you so much to everybody out there for allowing us to do this 400 times. Like, just incredible. And we hope that if you're listening to this, we hope that we will see so many of you, as we talked about a second ago, at Homecoming, which is happening October 7th through the 11th this year. It's getting really close to tickets going on sale. So for mile marker members, it's really close. That's happening April 1st. Those are going to go on sale for them. And mile marker members get a discount as well. Their tickets are only $225. And the tickets for Homecoming include your meals every night. We're going to have raffle giveaways, a cornhole tournament. We're going to have trivia. We're going to have a happy hour over at the local brewery. We're going to have a rig crawl. We're going to have morning seminars. We're going to have our roundtable, our RV consumer roundtable, which has really become a great way not only for us to get feedback from you all as RV consumers, but then to take that back to the RV industry and talk to them about what you all are thinking and
We
feeling. And
this is you're going to hear us talk about this a bit over the course of the
yeah,
next
get
few
used to
months,
it.
but this is
Get used to
if
it.
you haven't heard us talk about it before, Homecoming it's sort of our celebration of the end of the camping season,
Yeah.
the traditional summer camping season. Right at the beginning of October, it's right after they've had Oktoberfest in Amana. Amana's such a great
Oh,
little
it's
community to
amazing.
visit. We keep it very affordable. We don't really make a profit off of it or anything. It's just really a community celebration.
Mhm.
And the camping itself is very affordable
Yeah, it's
too.
$38 a night for full hookups, and they're going to put us all like in the same section together. And the reason why we talk about it so much is because it is our one and only time this year that we'll be hosting a rally. And so it is our one and only time to really get to spend time with you guys. And we keep it very small. We don't make it this big, large, enormous rally where we don't get to have time to get to know you.
Everybody
And
gets to know each other. People
yeah,
make lifelong friends. It's
they
great.
do. It's amazing. So we hope that you will really, truly consider coming. And we have a whole building to ourselves. So no matter the weather, we have a way to gather together. And we've been so fortunate with beautiful weather. But even if it's bad this year, we will make this happen. We have a space to be. So you can just go to rvmiles.com/homecoming to see everything that will be happening. And we really hope that you will join us and celebrate the end of another wonderful camping season and also get to know the Amana colonies because it's a beautiful space.
More in a moment, but first, this episode is sponsored by Etrailer. Ever feel like finding the right RV part is like searching for a needle in a haystack? Enter etrailer.com. Whether you're puzzled about which product is right for you or how to install it, Etrailer has you covered. Their US-based customer service is available by chat or phone 7 days a week, and with expert Q&As, helpful articles, and tons of reviews and install videos, you'll tackle any RV problem with confidence. Etrailer strives to get their hands on everything they sell, and their website is full of overviews, reviews, buying guides, and tutorials. And it's not just RV parts, it's towing and vehicle accessories, camping supplies, and more. Head to the link in the description to get free shipping on orders over $99.
Okay, so on this episode, we thought, what could we do for our 400th episode that feels special and fun? And
But isn't us just
we
talking
didn't want
about
to talk
like,
about like
we don't just talk about what we've
yeah,
done for
everything's
400
yeah.
episodes. Like, that's boring.
But what we thought we could do is take all the places that we've been to and turn them into some ideas for folks that are looking for trip ideas, to give you a little bit of travel inspiration. If you haven't made your plans for this year yet, we haven't.
Yeah,
It's not
so
too late.
yep. It might be too late, but come on board.
So we thought we'd take the places that we've been and sort of put them together in some groupings of interesting trips, whether you're a first time RVer or if you're really experienced. And we are really focusing on places that we've been.
Yes.
There are definitely places that we haven't been that would fit into these very well, but we have not put those in there because we've learned not to talk about things that we don't have expertise in.
Yes. Look, we're growing. It only took like 200 episodes. Yeah. So the rules for this, when we were putting these, what we call RV trips for every type of traveler within what we know, is though these have to be places that we have been to and we can talk about them and be able to offer advice as to why we think this would be a good idea for X amount of persons. So we have put together 5 ideas, 5 itineraries. And the first one is going to be what we would suggest for the first time RVer trip. So this is your first trip after, we want to preface, after you've done what we call the shakedown trip.
Do a shakedown near your house somewhere. You camp where you can still access like the grocery store and the Walmart and
The tools.
the RV dealer,
the-
perhaps, and your tools
The
in your
tools
house.
you might need that you forgot at home. It's when you get to know the rig. That's
Yeah.
what we call a shakedown
We
trip.
do a shakedown trip every year.
Yeah,
to
I mean-
make sure everything's working and yeah, it was just go to a local campsite.
We are hoping that ours will happen in the next couple of weeks.
It was 70 degrees yesterday, so I'm
It's-
thinking we're about there. I'm leaving town
Yes.
in a couple days, going to Vail with my brother and my dad, and then when I get back, I think we'll be there.
Yeah, and hopefully you'll come back with a little bit of a trip report.
Yeah.
Even though you're not going to be RVing,
Yeah,
it would be nice if you could come back
Yeah.
and give us all kind of like an idea of
I
what
will.
to do in Vail. So,
will.
but yeah, we're hoping we'll have our 2026 shakedown trip here very, very soon. But so let's say you are a new RVer, you've done your shakedown trip, you are ready to get out on the road and take this RV out for its first big trip. And we would absolutely suggest that you take this RV to the Black Hills Badlands area. And why would you say that, Jason? Because you are, I think, of the two of us, the one who should talk about this area.
Well, I've always thought that we've been back to the Black Hills so many times,
Yeah.
and every time I go there, I think this is so easy for RVers, especially if you're from the East and you're concerned about mountains and stuff, but you want that sort of big West experience. So you're planning your first big road trip. You're worried about going over mountain passes and all that sort of stuff. You can go to the Black Hills of South Dakota, and it's not as far as people think it is often from like the Midwest. And you can access some really, really beautiful Western type landscapes without climbing big mountain passes and with lots of great RV parks around, lots of really great state park camping. So Custer State Park is really the center of the Black Hills experience. Custer State Park would easily be one of the top 15 national parks in the country if it weren't a state park.
Yeah, South Dakota's never going to let that go, though.
No.
So a few things we would recommend here is, Jason just said, Custer State Park. Of course, if you can get into Custer and stay in one of their campgrounds, that would be our top recommendation. But then there are plenty of campgrounds in and around the park. There are several scenic drives that, once you get settled into the campground, we highly recommend. You have Needles Highway, Iron Mountain Road. There's a wildlife loop within the park The Custer State Park Visitor Center is absolutely wonderful. It's a great starting point for discovering the park itself. When it comes to national parks around Custer State Park, you've got Jewel Cave National Monument. You have Wind Cave National Park, which actually butts right up against Custer State Park. And then you have Mount Rushmore, which Iron Mountain Road, actually, you can take Iron Mountain Road to Mount Rushmore, and there are incredible views of Mount Rushmore as you are driving along.
Iron Mountain Road and Needles Highway aren't super RV friendly, but if
No.
you're traveling in like a camper van, or you're pulling a trailer and you're going to leave that trailer at a campground and take your truck through, what have you, they're great for that. There's so much beyond that specific Black Hills Custer area as well. So you go a little bit further out, but not far, past Rapid City. You heading east, you can get to Badlands National Park.
Yeah.
Badlands is an entirely different experience from the Black Hills. So when you cross, we've always said this, and somebody actually just said this to you the other day as well that had been there. It's when you cross South Dakota coming from the east, it's grassland forever. Like there's hardly any trees. It's just these rolling grasslands, and you get thousands of wall drug signs through most of it, right?
Yeah, you'll be like, this has to be the most amazing place ever.
And then all of a sudden, the bottom drops out. Literally, the earth drops out, and there's the Badlands.
It's the reverse mountain effect, right?
Yeah.
Like when you see the mountains for the first time, like I distinctly remember the very first time I saw the mountains driving down I-70 through Kansas, and we were headed to Rocky Mountain National Park. I was 17 years old, and I remember seeing the mountains for the very first time, and it just takes your breath away. You as someone who'd never, again, who'd grown up in Kansas City, Missouri, and had just seen rolling hills, you can't imagine seeing something that tall and that big, and it's like the reverse effect, but at the same time, the exact same thing when you see the Badlands, because it just bottoms out, and you think, you just go, where did the ground go?
Yeah.
And it's just gone.
And it's these formations that they weather. They're not rock. They're like a mud dirt sort of thing, and they weather away at an inch a year, so they change over time. And then you get past the Badlands, and the Badlands is an incredible experience, and then the Black Hills rise out of nowhere, and there's so many wildlife opportunities. There's bison, elk, all sorts of stuff. You can go and stay in one campsite and experience an entire area of great things,
and still have a little bit of amenities and stuff, and have a town to go into with Custer, and have some restaurants and things. And
if you need to go to the Walmart or an RV dealer, they're there for you.
And I think it's a really nice place for the first time RVer. Now, we went back and forth on this. We'll give an honorable mention to Great Smoky Mountains National Park in the Gatlinburg and Pigeon Forge area, because that was we went back and forth on these two areas as to which one. And really, ultimately, in the end,
They're both good options.
Both are good options. But for us, the place that we love, and because of the fact that you can access the Badlands and you've got the Needles Highway, and we just felt like this for us would be a good, if it was what we were picking, we would go this way first.
If you bought an RV and you're a little concerned that the money you spent wasn't worth it, you take it to South Dakota and to the Badlands, and you'll be like, okay, this was the right decision.
Even though being in the Smokies is just as absolutely stunning, especially in the golden hour. The next trip or itinerary would be, if you are seeking the ultimate wildlife experience, you want to go out there and you want to see as much wildlife from a safe distance. You've got that lens that you spent all that money on, and you just want to go out and you want to see all of it. Where would you go? 100%, we would tell you want to go to Yellowstone National Park in spring shoulder season.
It's just incredible. Now we've been to Yellowstone twice.
Yes.
The first time we went in the fall was great.
Well, it was late summer. We were there August.
It was the end of August.
We were there over Labor Day weekend. We were there over my birthday and into Labor Day weekend.
Yeah.
So
I
late
call
summer.
early September we're calling it fall.
That's fair. It is technically still summer,
It's
but we
after the
can
tourist season really ends at Yellowstone,
fair.
and it
That
can
is
get
fair.
cold and snowy, and
It
we
did snow.
got snow.
Yeah, we got snow. Yeah,
And
that's fair.
it was great. And we certainly saw a lot of wildlife, and you will see wildlife whenever you go there. But the amount of
But
wildlife that we saw in May,
the variety of
the
wildlife that we
variety,
saw.
the bear cubs, we saw, I think, zero bear.
We saw zero
our
bear.
first time.
Yes.
And they were like throwing themselves at us when we went the second
They were
time.
like, please take my picture.
And cubs and you're always going to see bison when you're there. We've talked about what the wonderful experience of us seeing a wolf for the first time was. It's hard to explain to a lot of people because I think you realize Yellowstone is wild and weird, and it's got these
Yeah.
geysers and stuff. And I think people look at it and they think, well, I see the geysers online and the pools and stuff, and
Oh,
it's okay. I'm not that interested in that though. Yellowstone has something for everybody. It's so much variety. There's some of the massive waterfalls and canyons and mountains and forests and of course all the geysers and pools and stuff. But the wildlife is really the biggest part of Yellowstone that for me.
Yeah, here's the biggest selling point for Yellowstone in May, in the spring season, shoulder season, before tourism really kicks in. This park is waking up. This park is coming alive. So it has been asleep all winter. You're going to experience a lot of varying seasonal temperatures at this time. So we had relatively warm, comfortable temperatures while we were there. And then at the same time, we had snow and cooler temperatures while we were there. And we saw such varying wildlife, pronghorn, elk, bear, bison, babies. Everybody had babies. Wild hare. We saw so many different types of birds. We saw a wolf. I mean, everything was out and about. Everything was waking up. The park was waking up. It just had this sense of it had been asleep for so long and it was kind of just stretching itself. And the rivers were coming alive. We were watching like the ice break up in the Yellowstone River and just everything. I can't put it into words enough. And one of the things we're going to do for this episode is we're going to link to, in the show notes at rvmiles.com/400, every single episode we've done on all of the places that we're talking about. So if you're interested in one of these places, you can go back, you can listen to that episode where we will in detail talk about where we stayed, talk about what we did, maybe the hikes that we went on or the places that we ate at, so that you can get even more details about that spot and really kind of put an itinerary together for yourself, because we absolutely loved Yellowstone in May. I don't know that I ever want to go back at a different time of year, because the wildlife at that time was so alive and so active.
And it's not as busy.
And it wasn't as busy. We had
Yeah.
it just kind of felt like so many times it felt like we had the whole park to ourselves. And how often can you say that about Yellowstone?
Yeah, we had the greatest time, and I won't give you all the tips on where to stay and all that sort of stuff. Listen to the episodes that we did on Yellowstone, but if you can stay in the park, stay in the park.
Absolutely. The next one is the scenic drives trip. So you want that trip where you're going to go and have that base camp RV park or resort or state park or whatever that is. And then you want to go off and you want to take all of these scenic drives. Well, there are so many out there, but the one that we have been on, the one that came to mind almost immediately for us, was we would absolutely recommend the $1 Million Highway.
Yeah, and really what we wanted to do was encourage you to look at Durango, Colorado as a really great base camp for several different scenic drive sorts of
Yeah.
options. So you could stay in the Durango area. We've stayed in Mancos, which is I think about a half hour outside of Durango. But you have this wonderful opportunity in the Durango area. I don't think a lot of people head to Colorado and they don't think about coming down here. They think about the Rockies and all that. But you go to southwestern Colorado, and from here, it's like a perfect crossroads. So from whichever direction you come in, to Durango in the area, you're going to have come in through something beautiful. So US 550 heading north from Durango up to Ouray is the $1 million highway. And it's not something that we would take a really big RV on, like a fifth wheel or a motorhome. People do it. Semi trucks take this trip. It's a little uncomfortable, but it's a great day drive. So from Durango, you drive up it and you can go all the way to Ouray and go to the hot springs. And it's just a stunning drive through this beautiful canyon the whole way up over a bit of a pass. Or you can stop in Silverton, which is a great mountain town that is really alive in the summer, and have lunch there and head back. And you can really see some of the great scenery of this side of Colorado, which isn't as busy as going to, Rocky Mountain National Park. Then if you head south from Durango, you're heading towards New Mexico, and you can head down to the Valles Caldera or Bandelier National Monument even, or on your way to Santa Fe or Albuquerque. And that drive on US 550 is beautiful as well, but entirely different. If you're heading east, you head through the wonderful little town of Pagosa Springs and then over Monarch Pass, which is stunning. And then across the state on the lower half of the state along US 160, which follows sort of the beginning of the Rio Grande River. The Rio Grande actually begins around Silverton, Colorado. And then as you come down the Monarch Pass, you follow the Rio Grande River, and you can head across Colorado and continue to Great Sand Dunes National Park. If you head towards the west on 160, you're heading towards one of our favorite national parks out there, which is Mesa Verde National Park. Mesa Verde, of course, is known for its wonderful ancient cliff dwellings, which are gorgeous, but a lot of people don't realize that it's such a beautiful park beyond that. The cliffs and the hiking. We really love the Petroglyph Point Trail.
That is one of our favorite hikes ever.
We have a treadmill that's got the iFit program on it, where you can, like, they take you on hikes different places. And I've done like Vietnam and all sorts of stuff, but I always go back to there's one that does that Petroglyph Point Trail.
It does?
Yeah, and it's great. It's great. It's just such a great memory of doing that.
I was watching videos of it the other day that we shot when we were on the trail with the kids, and they were so little and they did so well.
They did so good.
They did so good. There is a video though of me, it's like about 50 seconds long, where I'm by myself and I think I say something like, I'm just going to enjoy these few moments of peace. The littles are behind me counting saguaros. I think we're at 300, and Jack and Jason are up ahead, and it's not been the easiest right now. There's been a lot of fighting on this trail today. And so while we might have fond memories of it right now, apparently we did have some fighting, and the only way to curb that was to count saguaros.
It's such a great trail look, because you've got these gorgeous cliffs, and then there's like ports where you squeeze through things, and then there's little rock scrambles and stuff. And
so proud of
it's
them.
a great park. And then you can head even further on 160 towards Shiprock, New Mexico, and Monument Valley, and see those gorgeous Forrest Gump landscapes of Monument Valley. It is, again, Durango is sort of it's a decent sized town with restaurants and hospital and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. And Ska Brewing is there, which is one of our favorite breweries we've ever been to. I haven't checked to make sure that they're still there.
It's been a while since we've been
there.
a
minute.
It's been about 5 years now.
Which is definitely a minute. But we loved it there when we were there. We went a couple of times. We enjoyed it so much. But that sort of pocket of Colorado and New Mexico, that's the pocket that we want to move to.
Yeah.
We love that section of the country so much.
There's whitewater rafting. It's just, it's really gorgeous.
Yeah.
So,
we think it's kind of an underrepresented portion of RV. Like, RVers often kind of overlook that little section there, as it's just so beautiful, and the drives through that area are just absolutely stunning. So if you are looking for scenic drives and real bang for your buck, where you can just put that RV down in a campground and then go out and explore all these little mountain towns and not have as big a crowds as you were going to find in some of the more well-known areas, this is your drive. This is your drive. All right. The next one is the National Parks Power Trip. Now, this is the trip for someone that says, I want to knock out as many national parks as I can on my trip. I need this book stamped with as many stamps as I can get. Now, of course, you could say the obvious answer, which is the Utah Mighty Five, which is the first one we thought about. But we have not been to, we've only done one of the Mighty Five.
That's true. Yeah, I mean,
And
we've been through Moab, so we've gone near Arches. We haven't actually gone in Arches.
And so we thought, well, we can't talk about that. We've only done Zion.
Zion. We've spent so much time in Zion.
Yeah.
And you know what? That's the thing. So that's the caveat to this. I want to, stamp my book with as many as possible. Is like, we actually don't love doing that. We love sitting in one park and experiencing that park as much as possible.
So we have put together, though, what we also think is a pretty, this is a pretty fantastic national parks power trip list.
Spoiler alert, it's the last big trip we took.
Yeah, spoiler alert. But so we think this is what you're going to do instead if you're not going to do the Utah Mighty Five and you're looking for something that's really compact, right? You are going to start with Grand Teton National Park. Then you're going to go to Yellowstone. Then you're going to hit up Devil's Tower National Monument. You're going to go to Badlands National Park. Then you're going to swing through Wind Cave National Park. And then if you want, you're going to take that bonus and you can add on either Glacier National Park or Theodore Roosevelt National Park or Glacier National Park and Theodore Roosevelt National Park. I don't know, go crazy. You can do it all.
There's also Jewel Cave.
There's also Jewel Cave. You could swing through Jewel Cave. Jewel Cave's a one day.
Do like Dinosaur National Monument and Colorado National Monument.
Let's not overload these people.
But those are all sort of really circling like the Wyoming and that corner of Colorado and the western edge of South Dakota and the southern edge of both North Dakota and Montana. There's just so much there.
And the drives between all of these parks are very short. They're not long day drives between the parks, which is why we have created this list. And frankly, is why we did it last year in the spring. So a park like Grand Teton and Yellowstone, and Badlands, we think those are the parks you're going to want to give a little bit of time to, especially Yellowstone and Grand Teton. Like if you have a certain amount of time, those are the parks you want to give your most days to. Those are the parks that are going to have the most hikes. Those are the parks that are, I think, going to offer you the things that you're really going to want to try to see as much as you can.
Grand Teton is another one where I think a lot of people, you were definitely like this. They think, well, it's a pretty mountain range along a stretch of road that you can drive past and it's going to look beautiful, but what am I going to do there?
You think you're going to see the mountains, you're going to go see the barn, and then you're going to be done.
And then when you get there, you realize, oh, there is a lot to do here.
Yeah, I was wrong. And I admit that. And also I didn't do my research. And,
no, it's how I first felt about Yellowstone too. And then I got there and now it's my favorite place on earth.
I would say Devil's Tower is maybe like a 2-night because there is, the tower itself and there is a trail that goes around the bottom of it.
But you could certainly not even stay there, but just plan to stop there for the day or stay one night. But we always love 2 nights anyway.
Yeah, we found another trail. There's a couple other trails in and around the park that you could do as well. And that's just kind of nice to get out and experience the park in a different way and have that nice vantage point of Devil's Tower off in the distance. The same with Wind Cave and the same with Jewel Cave. Definitely with Jewel Cave. My only recommendation for that is make sure you make reservations because you have to have reservations to go down into the cave. Try to do that as soon as you can. We rolled into Custer thinking maybe we'd just grab some reservations, and what a rookie mistake that was. There were none to be had, especially over Memorial Day weekend. Like who are we? What were we even thinking? So, something like that where you're going to need a reservation to go down into a cave, like with Wind Cave and things of those, you're going to want a reservation for. But it's a very easy, beautiful drive between Yellowstone and Devil's Tower. They're all beautiful drives and quite enjoyable. So we think if you have already done the Utah Mighty Five, this should be the next.
Let me also give a quick honorable mention to another place that would be a great national park road trip roundup that
Sure.
people forget about is making a big swing through New Mexico and Arizona.
Oh,
I
yeah, we
mean,
talked about putting that one on
yeah, of
here.
course we love Carlsbad Caverns, White Sands National Park, Bandelier National Monument, Valles Caldera. Then you get into Arizona and you've got the Grand Canyon and you've got Saguaro, and there's so much in those two states, or just New Mexico alone.
Yeah.
You know, it's just wonderful.
If we had put in here, you just want to go to one state and you just want to spend your time in one state, we will forever and ever tell you you're going to the state of New Mexico and you're just
Yeah.
going to spend your time in New Mexico.
Yeah.
I mean, if I could transport myself to one state and I was told I could never leave that state, I will transport myself to New Mexico and that's where I will live for the rest of my life, because that's how much I love the state of New Mexico. And not only what it has from a cultural and foodie perspective with Santa Fe and Albuquerque, but also from what it has from a national park, and also just the biodiversity landscape from the north and the south.
What's
It's
cool
amazing.
What's cool too is that the parks in New Mexico are sort of like, they're all, you could do them in one day.
Mm-hmm.
You could spend more time at them as well, but like if you're
Love
wanting,
it.
if you have a 1 week sort of availability, that's a
I
good
love
option.
it. All right. The final one is
Mhm.
the slow travel trip. You want to take a nice long trip, but you don't want to travel a lot of miles. You really want to enjoy a place. You want to sit down for several days. You want to get to know the community and the area. And you don't want to spend a lot of time in the car. There are so many of these that you could do. But we were thinking back to so many of these that we have done because we love a slow travel. We love to sit down in a place for a while, get to know it. And the one that I just kept coming back to was Astoria, Oregon to Seattle,
So
Washington.
basically the whole coast of Washington.
Yeah. It's about 180 miles total from Astoria to Seattle. And it's going to take you through Port Angeles. You're going to go through Olympic National Park. You're going to get the small town. You can, when you're in Port Angeles, you can take a ferry over to Victoria, British Columbia. So you can go to another country for a day and enjoy Victoria, which is, we did that.
And putting your RV on a ferry is really easy, not a big deal.
Not a big deal.
These commuter ferries in the region.
You can have a big city experience.
Seattle's a great big city to have an experience
Seattle's
in.
great. You can go to you can go to the original Starbucks if you want. You can go to Pike Place and you can see them toss some seafood, toss some fish. The
It's-
flower market. I mean, there's so it's this really wonderful sort of like pocket of nature, and you get the whole rainforest and the
Yeah, that's the
beach.
thing
I
is
mean,
Olympic
it's
National
stunning.
Park Olympic could be 4 national parks. You know, Olympic has these huge mountains. It's got the coast. It's got the rainforest. There's so much diversity there. You're in different places traveling in and around it. So it feels like you're going
Yeah.
to so many different places in just this 180 miles.
So in Astoria, we really loved the Fort Stevens State Park. In fact, this little stretch of travel had several camping spots we loved. Fort Stevens State Park. We had some of our most favorite boondocking ever at Allen's Bar, which is near Olympic. You can go and camp at Soul Duck Hot Springs. So then you have some hot springs options in Olympic as well. It's such a beautiful strip of travel in this area, and 180 miles between all of it. It's incredible how much the terrain changes between all of this.
Yeah, it's really stunning.
Yeah.
And of course, you know, if you're not from the area, you're going to be traveling to there. So there's so much on the way there from whichever direction you're coming from. Because we've done pretty much everything in the West here, I want to do a quick couple honorable mentions for this slow travel trip. New Orleans over to Pensacola.
Yeah, that was one I was thinking
along the
of.
Gulf Coast. You get New Orleans, of course, has so much going for it, and then you get Biloxi and Ocean Springs and Floribama and Pensacola.
Great restaurants along that way.
So much history, so many restaurants, so much beaches and swimming, and then the northern half of the Great River Road, we always like to mention from basically where we live here in the Quad Cities region, Davenport, Iowa, on up to Minneapolis. So it's not that far, but you have some stunning bluff views along the Mississippi. You've got great towns like Galena and Dubuque. And then you get to Minneapolis and have that big city experience and all that too. So if you're in the East and you can't make it all the way out to Washington, I think it's a wonderful trip up
Yeah.
sort of the most beautiful parts of the Mississippi that I think exist are really between Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Iowa. We also always like to recommend people small chunks.
Yeah.
You can do this is the 100th anniversary of Route 66, and you could do the entire thing, and that's wonderful. But you don't have to feel like you have to do the entire thing. You could do just the Arizona segment, which is the most beautiful. Any of the big road trips you hear people talking about, you don't have to do the whole thing.
See, that's Jason's mindset.
Abby
And
feels
my
like she's got to
mindset would be
complete
like,
something.
yeah, my mindset would be like, no, we have to start at Adams in Michigan, in Chicago,
Do you know-
right at the sign that says, this is the beginning of Route 66.
Did you know that they've officially changed what the beginning of Route 66
I disagree with that.
is?
I don't even want to know where they moved it to.
Which is funny because Route 66 has been decommissioned for decades. Navy Pier is now the official,
No, that's
quote
wrong.
unquote. I don't know who makes it official. Is the beginning, but
I spent
It-
3 years
by that
walking out of
sign-
Bennigan's and staring at that sign
Yeah.
as I waited for the bus.
It is kind of cool though to say that it goes from a pier to a pier because
Yeah.
it ends on the other end at Santa Monica
Sure.
Pier, right?
That's fine.
So-
But for me, if I was going to do Route 66 or route, however you want to say it,
I think it's Route 66.
I think it's Route
always.
66. I mean, at Sonic, it's Route 66.
I say
so-
route in any other connotation usually, but Route 6, it's always
It's
Route 66.
I would have to start like at Navy Pier and then run all the way to the Santa Monica Pier.
Well, that's our roundup of some great road trip
Yeah.
options for folks that may fit in different categories. We'd love
Yeah.
to know your thoughts on some of these
Please.
places or some of your ideas if you want to share them in the comments of the YouTube version of this or on any of the social posts, wherever we share this. That's always welcome and appreciated.
All right, it is time to check the level of our tanks, and that is sponsored by our friends over at Liquefied RV Toilet Treatment, the no BS toilet treatment. You can find them over at liquefiedrv.com. Okay, Jay, what is in your black tank this week?
Fuel prices are obviously on the rise dramatically, very fast. And of course, this mostly relates to the conflict in Iran and the difficulty in getting oil out of the Persian Gulf. And, but I'll talk about some of the reasons for price rises on the news video that I'll put out on Monday. But really, the reality is in the last few days, diesel is the most concerning to us. Diesel has gone up. The national average in 1 week has gone up 75 cents. In a month, it's gone up 86 cents. So it's increasing rapidly, and it's going to increase more because over the last 5 days, so we're recording this on Saturday. This episode comes out on Sunday. Just last night, diesel went up 18 cents. The night before, it went up 13 cents. And those increases were really all over the last 5 days. The first 4 of those 5 days, oil prices shot up $10 a barrel. So it went from about $70 a barrel to $80 a barrel. On the 5th day, on Friday, another $10 a barrel. So I would expect, just having been somebody that has watched these sort of oil price dynamics, of course, oil prices are the biggest factor in fuel prices, that we will see continued rises going forward. How quickly this goes down is going to relate to how quickly this conflict ends. So if you remember, the last time we had a massive increase in fuel prices was back in 2022. And that was when Russia invaded Ukraine and there were big embargoes on Russian oil. And anytime you contract the oil availability which is what's happened now. Iran is essentially closed this strait that allows oil to get out of the Persian Gulf. Anytime that happens, prices rise. Our oil, America's one of the biggest oil producers. Our oil becomes more valuable, so it costs more to sell to us. It costs more to sell to the rest of the world, and that increases costs. So as long as this goes on, it will remain going up. Plus, what we're dealing with right now is the switch over to the summer blend of gasoline, which is starting to cause gas prices to rise on top of that. Summer blends are a little bit more expensive to produce, about 15 cents a gallon more expensive to produce. So there's a lot that goes into play with this. So the thing about this to me, though, obviously on our wallets, on the places we're going to travel, we've already planned that our travel is going to be much closer to home this year, and that had nothing to do with this. That was just sort of our mindset going into this year. But the thing here for me is that this comes at such a terrible time for the RV industry. The news video I put out last Monday was talking about how RV industry stocks have precipitously dropped over the past month or so. And I shared the amounts that they dropped and everything, whether it was Camping World or Lippert or Winnebago or Thor. And they have dropped almost as significantly in the past week as they had in the previous month before I put that video out. And a lot of that has to do with fuel prices. When fuel prices are on the rise, it unquestionably hurts the RV industry, especially right now. Right now, March is the beginning of the selling season. The RV industry makes their bank March, April, May, June. It may change. I mean, this conflict could end very quickly, which would cause prices to go down, not immediately, but it would still happen fairly quickly. There's still all that oil that had been paid for at those prices and all that gas that had been paid for at those prices on the market. But if it drags on, which it certainly could drag on for who knows, years, nobody knows, right? We could be in for another 2022, 2023, what we experienced with fuel prices back then, which was certainly a really big challenge. You're quite quiet over there.
It's best I just don't talk. It's best I stay out of this conversation. What is in your fresh tank this week?
My fresh tank is, so this is going to be interesting to you because I don't do our laundry, but my fresh tank is about laundry. I do.
Is your fresh tank thanking me for doing your laundry? You're welcome.
I'll do.
That's so sweet.
Probably one out of 100 loads that our family does, I'll do.
He does laundry on Mother's Day and my birthday.
No, I do laundry when I'm out of underwear, and you haven't done it.
Wow. Wow.
No, but one of the things we've talked about over the years is like more convenient ways to do laundry when we're out on the road. And one of the, I think a fresh tank that you recommended years ago was sort of the laundry sheets, the sheet of detergent that you throw into the washing machine. Well, it turns out that those sheets of detergent are really kind of greenwashing, and the amount of detergent in them is like minuscule. And a lot of people choose them over the pods because the pods have all that PVA plastic.
Well, the pods for us just always stick to stuff.
It turns out though that those sheets are basically all, it's like 90% that same plastic.
Oh, stop.
And the little bit that's left is like 1.5 grams of detergent.
Stop the train. I want to get off.
So there's this laundry influencer that I follow he's a dry cleaner, and I get his stuff all the time. And
your algorithm is so
I know
weird.
it's weird. And he's talking about how this is a guy that recommends you use like 2 tablespoons of detergent. He's always saying that the amount of detergent that they say that you should use is way too much. So this guy is saying everybody's using way too much detergent, is saying that there's nowhere near enough detergent in those sheets, and that this has been a greenwash product, meaning a product that is supposed to make you feel like you're doing something good for the environment, and you're really not. But that's not the reason that we've recommended in the past. It's just convenient for RVing to
Well,
have these
now it
little
makes me
sheets.
feel better because I've used them
And they don't work very well.
and I remember being like, gosh, this just doesn't feel like things. Like after I'd been using
Yeah.
them for a while, I kind of was like, I feel like I need to go back and like resend my fresh tank on these because it just
Yeah.
feels like things aren't clean.
Right.
Like,
And that's always been the issue, is that
yeah.
there's very little
That's
detergent in
why
there.
I stick with my ginger mango.
So the fresh tank is that Tide has solved this problem and has come up with something that is completely different but feels the same. So it's called the
Okay.
Tide Evo Tile. And what it is, it's a little square, almost looks like a sponge, right?
Uh-huh.
They have found a way to actually spin the detergent itself into fibers
Oh.
and create this little sponge-like thing that you throw in the machine. So it's really light and really compact, which is why we recommended the sheets
Yeah.
in the past, because they were really light and compact and easy to deal with when you're RVing. So they've come up with this product because the issue was that those sheets are the spun PVA plastic with a tiny bit of holding in tiny grains of detergent. Well, what Tide has done is sort of the reverse of that. They've been able to spin and make fibers out of the detergent and use a little bit of that PVA stuff as a glue to sort of bind it together. So what you have is a product that's really light to ship, really light to carry, really easy to throw. You're going on a weekend trip and you only need one of them because
Uh-huh.
you're going to do laundry once, really easy to throw in the RV. We haven't used them yet, so we don't have experience with them. But I think
But
it's
you
really
have been
interesting
influenced.
because I have also had an issue, just like you have with the pods. We often have problems with the pods getting stuck enclosed
Yeah.
somewhere, and they stay in that one pair of jeans, and then you pull that pair of jeans out, and it's got residue from
Shenanigans.
the actual pod on it.
Absolute shenanigans.
Yeah. So
Well, we'll have to look for them. I haven't seen them. I
They're
mean,
brand new. Yeah.
I'm a brand loyalist, and I've pretty much just been sticking with my ginger mango
well,
from Method.
I
So
do have to say, every wardrobe person that I have ever worked with in the theater industry, I've often been the guy that has to go out and, I'm the one dealing with the money and the one that has to order stuff and buy stuff for people. And they are always the wardrobe people, theater, we're always cheap in theater, right? So, we want to buy the generic detergent, right? And they're like, you want this costume to last.
they want the
You're
cheap
going to
generic actor.
You're getting the Persil detergent. And the wardrobe people in the theater industry have always been Persil.
Hmm.
And I don't know.
Okay. Well, do they have a ginger mango scent?
I don't know, but I don't like the ginger mango scent.
Well, then you should do laundry.
All right, what's in your black tank this week?
So my black tank, can we just talk for a second about protein? Okay, because I feel attacked on a daily basis by everyone out there for the amount of protein I am supposed to be consuming every single day. And I saw this meme the other day that said, I was not pressured to take drugs and alcohol in my teens the way I am pressured in my 40s to take protein. And I felt like that was such a slap in the face because I was like, that is 100% true. Every time I go to the grocery store, everything is screaming protein at me. Every time I open up any sort of social media app, they're screaming protein at me.
Yeah, I love that. Like the stuff that didn't have like this big protein labels on it before. They haven't added protein, like ice cream. They'll have ice cream that like big on the front is 30 grams of protein per serving. And it's always had that.
Is this what it was like in the 90s for people on the Atkins diet?
I think it was like,
is this what the fat-free movement was like?
It was the fat-free, low fat. It absolutely was.
I remember when people were like, we can eat Twizzlers because they're fat-free.
That's the epitome of that for me was always that Twizzlers says right on the front of it, a fat-free snack. Yeah, because it's just sugar. It's spun sugar.
I am like, get 100 grams of protein every day or you will die.
The problem is,
I'm like, oh my God, my bones are going to become brittle and weak. And I am going to eventually be unable to walk if I don't consume at least 100 grams of protein. And I went and got my hair cut the other day.
Yeah.
And the woman who cuts my hair, we were talking about this. And she was saying that like a few years ago, she used to be super into like some type of bodybuilding kind of thing, which like you would never know now to look at her. And she used to have to try and consume 188 grams of protein every single day in order to keep up like whatever she had to do to keep up the bodybuilding.
Yeah.
She said that she would wake herself up at night in order to go and eat protein.
That's the thing. You can't
keep
if you're
up with it.
If you're bodybuilding, you can because you're burning calories because so much protein is attached to calories, right? So like if I'm wanting to eat a ridiculous amount of protein, it's either I'm eating a lot of meat or a lot of dairy. There's so much calories involved. So like if you want to eat the protein that they recommend, I'm like, I can't eat that many calories.
I just feel like it has become the medical answer to everything. Like I had messaged my doctor the other day and her first response to me was, how much protein are you getting in a day? And I was like, sister, it is not the protein. It is not the protein. And I just
because you get a lot of protein because you have a protein shake in the morning.
Because now it's my new anxiety trigger.
Yeah.
I am now anxious that I'm not getting enough protein because the fear of God has been put into me that if I don't get enough protein in a day, I am going to have all of these issues that will be wrong with me.
Yeah.
And I never felt this much peer pressure when I was younger. Never. It's just so much pressure. It's like one day I woke up and everyone learned how old I was. And then they decided to just, all they were going to shove in my face was protein. I can't go anywhere now without protein.
What's in your fresh tank?
Just wanted to give a shout out to Alliance RV. They just put out that they just, their 30,000th unit.
This was not what your fresh tank was originally.
It wasn't, but I saw this come across and I thought that this was really great.
Okay.
I was going to make fun of Jason.
Okay.
I'll save that for the next episode. But
Okay.
I just wanted to give a shout out to them because you have an independent manufacturer that just put out their 30,000th unit. And I think that is really cool. And I want to say
time. Like, I mean,
for
2019.
2019. I almost said 1999. 2019. So in 7 years, that's really incredible. And so I just want to congratulate them on that. That's quite an achievement. And they've really grown their team over there. And, you are seeing kind of a rise in independent brands.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that's cool. It kind of has made these sort of larger RV manufacturers kind of up their game
Yeah,
a bit.
they have to react.
Yes,
Yeah.
it has really sort of, that rising tide lifts all the boats. And so all the boats are having to react now.
Competition is good for consumers.
Absolutely. And I think that we're seeing that in the fact that they just, produced their 30,000th unit in 7 years. So congratulations to Alliance.
That's it for this week's episode of the RV Miles podcast.
Yes, it is. Thank you for joining us for our 400th episode. And hey, if you're enjoying RV Miles and you are listening to this on Apple Podcast or any of the podcast apps over there, would you please leave us a 5-star review wherever you're listening? That review just helps put us in front of a whole new generation of listeners. And if you were listening a few weeks ago, how hard it is right now for these smaller podcasts to break through when these big corporations are coming in and gobbling up all of these podcasts and putting millions and millions of marketing dollars behind them. So your one act makes a huge difference for us. So thank you so much to all of you who have done that already. And if you would like to connect with Jason and I, the best way to do that is to come join the RV Miles Facebook group. We would love to talk to you over there. And until next week, friends, thank you again for being here for 400 episodes. please stay safe, stay healthy, and keep logging those RV miles.
Hi, everybody.
Bye.